What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be trying out a tier list for the first time on this channel. If you checked out my last video, it was a bit of a news roundup, I suppose. I said that, look, there's a couple of weeks until the next big One Fight Night card. That is One Fight Night 22 on May 3rd. So we've got a couple of weeks here to do some different stuff. I did name a couple of things. Well, I think one main thing that I decided whilst recording that video that I am going to do on this channel in the next week or so. And then I thought maybe it would be fun to do this, right? As mentioned, One Fight Night 22 is coming up next. We've had 21 of these Fight Night cards now that originated as the one on Prime Video cards. And yeah, I thought, why not take a look back at those and put a tier list together for the main events of those Fight Nights. Now, a couple of things to get to before I show you the tier list. First of all, I haven't had time to go back and watch these events, obviously, right? I'm busy as it is. I don't have time to watch back 21 main events, right? But I do remember some of them. I remember all of them to some degree, to varying degrees. Obviously, the recent ones I remember very well, and the older ones I still remember quite well, but not super well, I guess. How are we going to rank them? So, of course, there are 5 tiers. They're going to be put into the tiers. I figured this was the best way to do it based on the hype going into the fight and the actual, whether it delivered or not. And we will see how that splits them as we get on. Let me pull up the tier list, right? I will show you this to kick things off, right? So here is the tier list. Hopefully you guys can see that well. Admittedly, some of them have the event posters, like this one right here, and some of them, like this one right here, just have the fight. Yeah, maybe that's my fault. I'm not too sure if there are like these individual fight ones for each event. Otherwise, I would have found them. Oh, I just swapped those around by accident. Well. So yeah, so here are our 5 tiers, right? Starting at the top with unmissable. You also have strong main event, decent, not essential, and skip. And to be honest, looking over these at the start, I think I was gonna say I don't think any of these will go in skip, and I might have changed my mind already. So let's get into it without further ado, and we will start right here at the top here with the very first one on Prime Video card. One on Prime Video 1, headlined, of course, by the One Flyweight World Championship, a rematch, Adriano Moraes versus Demetrious Johnson. DJ, of course, coming for revenge after he was knocked out by Adriano in their first meeting. I will put myself over in the corner here, and then I will switch it around if you guys cannot see the other side. So I promise you, you will get to see the other side. Let me quickly go back just so you guys get one last look at all of them before I switch back over. That's the wrong side. So the hype for this one was huge. DJ, the first time he had been knocked out, I didn't. All right, quick side story tangent. I didn't get to watch this one live. I was actually at Reading Festival at the time. So I woke up. Was this on? Yeah, this was on American prime time, wasn't it? So like all of these events are. So I woke up to find out that DJ had knocked Adriano out, and obviously saw the clip as soon as I went on social media and couldn't believe it, and then went back and watched this one. I'm gonna go. I think they started off with what might be the best one of all of these. We'll get to that. But I'm putting this in unmissable. For a start, of course, you have the rematch. Adriano becoming the first person to finish, DJ the first person to knock him out. A great knockout at that. So the hype was there anyway, but the performance from Demetrious Johnson, that flying knee finish, like his best knockout of a Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore even career. So that one I think is setting the bar very high. Then we have one on Prime Video 2. That was the trilogy fight between Zhang Jingnan and Angela Lee for the strawweight title. Of course, Angela Lee going up a weight class for the second time to try and become a 2-weight world champion. This is either unmissable or strong main event for me. The fight itself was good. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. Was it unmissable tier? I would say probably not, personally. I'm gonna put it there, and I think it will stay. Like, in case people don't know that this is the way I always do tier lists. I think this is the way most people do tier lists. The closer it is to the actual name of the category, the better it is. So, for example, if I was to put this in unmissable, the fact that I've put it this side of the of Demetrius Johnson and Adriano Moraes 2 means that I think that Demetrius Johnson, Adriano Moraes 2 was better, right? So it goes in order like that. So I do expect Zhong Jinnan versus Angela Lee to stay very near the top of strong main event because it was a trilogy fight. The fight itself was quite good. Was it unmissable? I'm going to hold off on that for now. One on Prime Video 3 was headlined the bantamweight title fight, John Lineker versus Fabricio Andrade. I am going to put this one in strong main event. A very, very good main event in my opinion. And in fact, I'm debating whether to put it up one. The question is, we have these two guys coming up a little bit later, as you can see down here. And in my opinion, the second fight was better than the first one. But was it more hyped? I'm gonna leave it there for now. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. And the performance, the difficult thing, right, is the fight itself was quite one-sided, but it did make you want to, like, if you didn't watch it live, you had to go back and watch it to see this performance from Fabricio Andrade. I'm gonna leave it there for now. We'll rearrange things potentially later on down the line. One on Prime Video 4, headlined by another champion versus champion clash. Christian Lee, of course, the let me just think of my weight classes. Lightweight champion going up to face Cameron Abasov, the welterweight champion, to become a two-sport world champion. This fight for me goes into unmissable. The hype behind this one, maybe not as good as DJ and Adriano. Of course, DJ, hard to live up to his name and of course that knockout. But this is one of the best fights I've ever seen in one championship. Christian Lee and Cameron Abasov. How Christian Lee survives that opening round, I have literally no idea. And then not only does he somehow come back into the fight, he stops Abasov to become the world champion. That fight was absolutely fantastic. You can see from this poster as well. It might be a bit small, so hopefully you can. That Rodtang was the co-main event here, where he fought Joseph Laziri. Isn't it wild that we've had 21 of these events and Rodtang hasn't headlined a single one? Now, I know that he's competed on some other big shows. Of course, one Friday fight against Superlek, 1165 in Japan was supposed to be him and Takeru. But considering these events are on at prime time and he is such a big star over there, it is a little bit surprising. One on Prime Video 5, Anatoly Malakin versus Renier de Ridder. And I think that you're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here with how these have fallen into place. That the start of these fight night events, in my opinion, the main events that we got, was absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I'm gonna back that up by putting one on Prime Video 5 into unmissable. Anatoly Malakin going up against Renier de Ridder, claiming what would be, I mean, he was the interim heavyweight champion at the time. So his win over de Ridder in this fight was, to win his first, legit, well, I don't want to say legit. The interim heavyweight title was basically the real heavyweight title. We all kind of knew that. But, to become the first full world champion by defeating de Ridder, to become the light heavyweight champion, handing de Ridder his first loss, knocking him out in the first round, all incredible stuff. I'm going to put Lee slightly higher because the fight didn't last very long. And so in terms of if people didn't watch it live, in terms of telling them you've got to go back and watch this, maybe not as important. I would say the hype was higher than that for this fight than it was for Abasov versus Lee. So I will leave it there. We will go on to One Fight Night 6, Superbon versus Chingiz Alazov, which also goes into the unmissable category. I'm going to put it above Malakin and de Ridder. I'm still not going to put it as high as Abasov and Lee because, again, that fight was absolutely phenomenal. But I will, I do expect it to hold its position there. Superbon and Alazov, of course, was supposed to fight. Was it back at 1X that they were supposed to fight? And then is that what happened? I'm trying to remember that this fight was supposed to happen a bunch of times, right? And then didn't end up happening. And when it finally did, obviously Chingiz Alazov coming off of the Grand Prix win, Superbon, arguably the pound for pound #1 in the world at that point in time, off the back of his, incredible title defenses title win against Giorgio Petrosian, and then the title defense against Murat Grigorian at 1X. Yeah, hype for that one was phenomenal, and the performance from Chingiz Alazov on that night is one of the best performances I have ever seen in one championship, in my opinion. One Fight Night 7, John Lineker versus Fabricio Andrade. I am going to put into the top of the strong main event. I thought this fight was absolutely fantastic. John Lineker put up a much better fight the second time around, and the hype for this one wasn't huge, and that makes me debate whether it should go there. In fact, we'll leave it there, I think, actually, because to me, Fabricio Andrade dominated John Lineker and in the first fight, and then obviously landed that unintentional foul, which ended the fight. And so, in my opinion, it was like never really I was never really under any illusion that John Lineker was going to be able to beat Fabricio the second time around. I didn't think he was going to be able to, he's a striker, and he got out struck. So that's where I'm going to leave that one. I'll switch my view very quickly just so people can see the other ones that are on the other side there, which are left. And we will move on to One Fight Night 8, which has gone from my memory. That was Superlek versus Daniel Williams, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just gonna Google that just to make sure that I am right on that. I believe that is correct. Daniel Williams versus Superlek. I should have typed in One Fight Night 8. That would have been a lot more simple. Yes, it was. Okay. Interestingly enough, One Fight Night 7, Lineker versus Andrade 2, I believe, was the first preview video I put up on this channel about one championship. But anyway, where does this one go? Superlek versus Daniel Williams. I'm going to put into not essential. Now, this is not particularly one championship's fault. This was supposed to be Superlek versus Rodtang. When somebody gets injured, who are you going to call? Daniel Williams. Mini T stepped up on short notice for this one. I would say the only reason maybe to go back for it is if you are a big Superlek fan, you want to see an excellent kickboxing performance from him. There's plenty of them out there, so I don't know why necessarily you would pick this one, but it was a fantastic performance from Superlek. So that's my only justification for that. One Fight Night 9, Nongo versus Jonathan Haggerty. I am going to put into strong main event. Now, where do we want to put it? Is it a better main event than Lineker and Andrade 2? I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah, it is. And I'm gonna put it there. Of course, the story of this one going in was that Nongo was the dominant champion, a phenomenal win streak as the bantamweight Muay Thai world champion. Jonathan Haggerty, the flyweight Muay Thai world champion, well, former. He lost his title to Rodtang, moved up to bantamweight. The only reason that this doesn't go higher for me is that my hype for this one was a little bit jaded because of Haggerty's performance against his name is escaping my brain, Vladimir Kuzmin. His bantamweight debut was a very, very close fight. I believe he won a majority decision. And I thought Kuzmin could have got it, honestly. So I wasn't like, yeah, Haggerty's going to become the man here. But to do it, he's got to dethrone Nongo. I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about Haggerty at bantamweight just yet. Nongo's looked good lately. He was on a run of finishes. Obviously, there was going to be questions about how long he could do it for, but he had looked good. But yeah, I am going to leave that one in there. We should probably speed this video up, right? I'm taking a lot of time. One Fight Night 10, Demetrius Johnson versus Adriano Moraes. This is tough because the hype for this one, I was super hyped for this fight. Of course, the trilogy fight 1-1, two incredible finishes in their other fights from both guys. And then the fight itself was just not entertaining. It was a very clever performance from Demetrius Johnson, but it just wasn't an entertaining fight. And so I am going to put it in strong main event for the matchup alone. Sometimes a great matchup doesn't always make a great fight. And that is where this one falls, in my opinion. Let me just switch around here so that, oh, I've just deleted myself. There you go. And one fight night 11. This is like really testing my memory here because I can't remember which one this is. Is it Grigorian and Alazov? Oh, it's Regian Ursel. Regian Ursel versus Dmitry Menshikov. I'm gonna put in decent. Dmitry Menshikov was making his one championship debut in this fight, and so it's hard to get excited about a guy that we haven't seen yet. And I was kind of interested to see what Menshikov would do, and he got ran through in one round, and it wasn't very close. Yeah, not a great main event, but Regian Urso, of course, a very, very good champion, and I was at least a little bit optimistic that Menshikov would be able to pose him some interesting challenges, and he certainly wasn't. So. One fight night 12, another bit of a difficult run here. Of not great main events. Superlek versus Kalilov. Um, I'm going to put that into not essential as well. Another good performance from Superlek. In fact, I will put it the other side of that because at least one fight night 8, Rodtang pulled out. I don't believe Superlek had an opponent previous to Kalilov, right? This was just to give him a Muay Thai fight. Oh, they were supposed to do Tang Kai and Tan Lee on this card, of course. Yeah, that would have been a good one to see. And Superlet just kind of made easy work of Tagir Kalilov. So yeah, not incredibly important, that one, in my opinion, in terms of ones that you would want to go back for. One fight night 13 was the one I thought was one fight night 11. That is Chingiz Alazov versus Marat Grigorian. Again, in my opinion, another case of a great matchup, maybe not meaning for a great fight. And that's kind of just because Alazov was that dominant. So I'm going to put it there. No, other side. There you go. Because it was worth going back for to see just how Chingiz Alazov was able to win that fight so convincingly, in my opinion. I expected it to be a lot more competitive than it actually was, but I was excited for it going in as well. I expected it to be an entertaining one. One fight night 14 was Stan Fairtex versus Hamsio He. Of course, this was for the interim atomweight title, and then it became for the full title when Angela Lee made the decision to retire. I'm debating whether I'm going to have to put some more of these in decent, to be honest. So let's put Stamp and Hamsio He. I'm going to put it above Alazov and Grigorian, I think. Am I? That feels harsh. Maybe I feel like this might be, a little bit biased because I'm such a big fan of Fabricio Andrade. So please keep that in mind. And did it feel like a world title fight, like a full atomweight world title fight? I think so. You had the added stakes on there because of the Angela Lee thing. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It felt like an emotional main event. Of course, this was the card for International Women's Day, I believe it was. So yeah, it was good stuff. I enjoyed that a lot. I do think that maybe we might have to, like, I'm debating whether Demetrius Johnson versus Adrian Morris 3 goes in there, but I feel like it was the right main event to make for that card, that US debut. So I will leave it there for the time being. One fight night 14. Which one was this again? Was this Freemanov and Anton Lee? Not 14, sorry, that's Stamp, isn't it? Yeah, 15. Yeah, it is Tan Lee and Ilya Freemanov for the interim title. This one's going to go in decent for me. It was a good fight. I mean, it was a good matchup to get put together. But at the end of the day, it was only made because Tankai was injured. I'm glad that they did do the interim title instead of giving us, instead of just waiting for Tankai to return, making Tan Lee wait. And then it ended in like a minute, right, with that submission from Tan Lee, which was a fantastic finish. But yeah, not an incredible main event in my opinion. Um, I am then going to move on to One Fight Night 16. That is Jonathan Haggerty versus Fabricio Andrade for the vacant kickboxing world title. I am going to put this also into high decent. I was actually excited for this fight quite a bit. And then in the end, the way it played out, I think a lot of people's criticisms were maybe proven to be justified that Jonathan Haggerty was going to become a kickboxing world champion by fighting a mixed martial artist, and that's kind of how I feel like it played out on fight night. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed by this one, to be honest. Maybe I got caught up in the hype a little bit too much, and then the fight itself, I was kind of like, yeah, did we really need to see that? I'm not sure that we did. One Fight Night 17. Cricklier versus Alex Roberts. This one for me is going to go into not essential. I'm a big fan of Roman Cricklier. I like watching him fight. Should he be headlining a fight night card against a debuting guy? In my opinion, no. If you're going to have him headline a card, maybe, the Rade Opacic rematch or something like that, that would be fantastic. I would love to see that as a headliner. But no, this card was particularly struggling. There were some great fights on this card. It ended up being really good in my opinion, but yeah, it was a tough one to sell, at least initially. I've just realized yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting which main event was the last card. Then we had One Fight Night 18, and for me, this is the worst main event that we've had so far. There were obviously plans here where it was supposed to be Superlek defending his kickboxing title, which probably would have gone in decent, I think. Superlek versus Elias Mahmoudi, I believe was the matchup. And instead, because of Superlek needing to step in to fight Takeru in Japan, we ended up with Shamil Gasanov versus Oho Take, and that is going to go in skip for me. It was essentially just a fight that you would expect to see on the main card portion of a fight night event. Certainly not a headline. And it was a weird way to kick off the year for one championship, although we had Japan like the week after, so it kind of felt like that erased the memory. But I remember. Then we have Jonathan Haggerty versus Felipe Lobo, One Fight Night 19. This was a good main event, and the fight was absolutely phenomenal. So whilst the matchup itself, I was a little bit like, yeah, is that the one we really need to see next? I'm not sure. The fight itself was incredible, as I said. So I'm going to put this one into strong main event, and I think it's going to go just before Haggerty and Nongo. In fact, is it higher than Haggerty and Nongo? I'm going to say no, because of the shock that we had with Haggerty stopping Nongo in the first round. And I think it was a better fight than Lineker and Andrade too. So I'm going to put it there, because the fight absolutely delivered. So that was incredible to watch. Janet Todd versus Petjija, I'm going to put top of decent. Maybe a little bit harsh on that one. Could it go in strong main event potentially if there wasn't so many others in that category already, right? And to be honest, if I stopped and looked at all of these, I would end up rearranging them all. Totally honest. So apologies on that one. It was a good fight, and what a performance from Petjija. I mean, Janet Todd gave her a tough fight, but for Petjija to be in this position and to unify the division against Janet Todd in Todd's retirement fight was pretty special. In fact, I'm going to put it there. I'll give it a little bit more credit than that. Maybe I'm being too harsh. And finally, Regian Ursel versus Alexis Nicholas. I am going to put, I guess we'll put it there. The two Regian Ursel fights next to each other, because at least we had seen Alexis Nicholas get a win. Actually, no, it deserves to be higher than that because of the upset. Because it was a matchup on paper, I would have put it in not essential. But then the fight itself was like, I can't put Regian Ursel. All right, let's put that's going to go into not essential. And that is where we will leave that, because the main event actually ended up being really interesting with Alexis Nicholas defeating Regian Ursel to become the one lightweight kickboxing world championship. Who knows what will happen from here? And yeah, there were some interesting talking points, and that card definitely ended up delivering. The fight itself was pretty good. And so when I say decent, I'm like, that's good for me. I'm happy to have decent main events. Of course, I would like to get more excited about other fights, but Alexei Nicholas, not many people gave him a shot. I don't think he looked particularly amazing in his one championship debut. So it was more the shock outcome of the main event that, in my opinion, elevated it. Whereas the hype drags it down a little bit to stop it from going into strong main event. All right, that is my tier list for the one fight night events, the Prime Video main events and headliners. Thank you for checking out this video. Let me know which ones you guys disagree with. I'm sure there'll be a few in there. I'm already looking at it going, have I really put that high, or have I really put that low? Apologies to Superlek. It is not his fault that he has headlined some not great cards. The man just steps in and saves the day when you need him to, so you cannot argue with that. Yeah, I think that will just about do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will leave a link to this tier list on tiermaker.com if you want to try it out for yourself, and send me them. Send me them on Twitter at Kyle Diamond JOU, and yeah, do it, because I'd be interested to see how much you guys disagree with me. I feel like Tan Lee versus Ilya Freemanov have been done a little bit dirty personally. Maybe that should be a little bit higher, but we will see. Do you guys think that there are any that should go in the unmissable category that I didn't put in unmissable? I definitely think there's some arguments there. I think Jonathan Haggerty versus Felipe Lobo in terms of a fight, that was unmissable. So we'll see, and let me know if you guys want me to do a tier list for anything else, and I will make that happen. All right, thanks for checking out this video, guys. Hit subscribe, drop a like, all that good stuff. I will see you very soon.